has risen quite dramatically, and that means there's extra pre-operative and post-operative care that midwives need to give, yet the numbers of midwives haven't gone up, and we are still 3,500 midwives short in England of the number of midwives that we need to deliver safe, quality care. Basically, the 1% pay rise was agreed by the pay review body. There has been a pay freeze for the last 3 years, so in terms of pay keeping up with the cost of living, it hasn't. And this pay rise is not consolidated into pay, so at the end of the year it just disappears. Same thing next year, another 1% which isn't consolidated, so in 2016 the pay of midwives will drop back to 2010 rates. I'm Julia Chandler and I'm Regional Officer for the Royal College of Midwives.
Caroline Jennings, community mental health nurse working in Gloucester. Well, I'm a member of Unison, and it's a 4-hour strike against cuts in general cuts, but particularly the failure to award a 1% pay.
Well, I feel it's very unfair because it hasn't personally affected me, because I've had the 1% rise because I'm at the top of my pay band, but for people who are still progressing up pay bands, they've been considered to have been their pay rise, so they haven't had the 1% on top of it. So it's that unfairness.
What does it feel like working in the NHS at the moment? How do you find it?
Lots of changes, none of them for the better. And I think I've also really noticed the change in other agencies, cuts in other agencies. We have to do some work with the police, we do some work with accommodation. I've really noticed cuts with the council in terms of what accommodation is available to people. So it's just been a general sort of thing that seems to be being cut all over the place. So lots of problems really.
And what are you hoping will come out of today?
Well, I would hope people would realise the effect the cuts are having on not only the health service, but the staff working in the health service, and people's morale and how people feel about their work. And we'll try and think that things can be done differently.
I'm Chris Moore. I'm a member of the Socialist Party and one of the coordinators for Strad Against the Cuts. I think that the health workers that have been out on strike have every right really to do that, because the government offer of a 1% pay increase, which in effect is a pay decrease, it's a pay cut, if you take into account what the cost of living is. And also, I think 60% of nurses won't even get that, because they won't get both a pay increase and their incremental increases. So really, it's an insult to some of the hardest working health workers, public sector workers that there are in Britain today. And what we need to be doing is to be paying our workers a decent wage for the work they do. Not only because they deserve it, but also because it's a way of helping to boost the economy as well. So on all fronts, and especially as the MPs have just given themselves 11% pay increase, the idea that many nurses who haven't seen a pay increase for years can't even have a 1% is an utter disgrace. So I'm totally supporting them. I think we need to build this to a real shot against the government, which will be a 24-hour general strike, bringing in all workers. Everyone needs a pay rise. The top executives have seen their pay increase 180 times quicker than the average wage. So there's plenty of money there. It's just going into the pockets of those who already have it.
I've worked for the NHS for 30 years and 22 years as a midwife, and I think the morale is probably at the lowest I've seen it in a long time. People are getting fed up now. We've had a pay freeze for 3 years before, and basically in effect this is another pay freeze for everybody. The independent pay review body recommended an affordable 1% across the board to all NHS workers. They decided it was affordable, but the government have decided in their wisdom that it's not affordable, and they will offer a 1% non-consolidated pay rise for top increment only, saying that people with incremental rises are actually getting a pay rise. My name's Frances Walker. I'm one of the RCM stewards for the Gloucestershire Royal Hospital Trust, and I'm also a lead midwife for the midwifery partnership team. Basically, I'm a community midwife.
And how's it been going? And many midwives been coming out on strike?
There's not a lot of midwives on strike today, and that is because patient care is priority. It's a busy unit today. There's lots of babies being born, so our priority is to maintain patient care at all times. But there is a delay in postnatal and antenatal care in the community and in the clinics.
The Royal College of Midwives hasn't been on strike many times in its history. I think this is the second time.
This is the second time. It's actually both associated with each other after 133 years. The RCM, the members have decided enough is enough, and we want to have what was recommended. The government were recommended a 10% pay rise by their independent pay review body, which they are going to take, but they say that we can't have ours, which is also an independent one, and it is an affordable one.
Have you got a message for Mr Hunt or Mr Cameron?
For Mr Hunt, if he could actually listen, come to the table. He's not even prepared. He's just washed his hands of it all, and he's just letting the NHS managers cope with everything. It's not fair on them. They've got a job to do, and they actually would be quite happy, I'm sure, to give this affordable, and I keep saying affordable 1% pay rise. Mr Hunt, come to the table, talk to the unions.
I'm Danny, I live in Stroud. I support Unison, I'm a Unison member, and I support the strike. I think it's bang out of order that they're not even getting 1% across the board. Yet MPs can give themselves an 11% rise. It's not okay.
Hi, I'm Paul Flynn. I've just come down from the northwest. I live in Stroud, but I have friends up in Stockport, a psychiatric nurse who's on a picket line up there. I passed on my way here Macclesfield District General Hospital, again another picket there, so very pleased to find you here, James, with your banners and placards. So good luck to the NHS, all the staff who are campaigning for a fair wage.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Pete. I'm from Stroud, and I support the NHS workers who are on strike today, fighting for a better wage for them. A 1% pay rise is the least that they deserve.
I'm Andrew Coulson. I've come over from Cheltenham and Gloucester against cuts today to show solidarity with a great show of solidarity from the unions, with 11 unions coming out today. And that's what it's going to take to save our NHS. All the NHS workers, their pay and conditions are under threat, they're understaffing, and so much of this is a manifestation of the cut in real terms funding to the NHS, as well as the cut in actual money spent on health services as a result of the privatisation and all the administrative overheads you get from putting everything out to tender every few years or so. So it's been another good turnout, as it was the last time they came out on strike, and I hope to see more of the same.
I'm Sue Powell from the National Shop Stewards Network, and I've come out today to support the striking NHS workers. It's an issue that I've been very actively involved in for several years. The NHS is probably the most important reform that was ever achieved in this country.